A top WWE name is working towards retirement. An AEW star has been moved to a full-time contract, and we've got an update on AEW Blood and Guts. Stay tuned for the news. We're kicking things off today with someone who's admittedly themselves has said that they're working towards retirement in WWE. Now, when you think of this, you think, is it a big legend? Is it someone who's currently on the roster? It isn't. It's one of WWE's longtime hardest workers in Jerry McDevitt, WWE's legal defense attorney.
This is a major name that has been a part of some of the major scenes in wrestling in WWE history throughout the years. Jerry McDevitt, who has told WrestleNomics that he, in the midst of this lawsuit that MLW have with WWE, they've asked for an extension whilst they seek new legal counsel because McDevitt has realized that this case is probably going to run on until 2025. He says, I advised my clients that I would be wrapping things up by year end and that it would make sense for them to secure counsel who can go the distance on the case now that discovery will be starting. There's also the chance that I might be a witness given the allegations. I'll be 74 this January and it just seems like the right time to make necessary transitions. It's been a great 36-year run with a great company and Vince and I are very proud of all that we've accomplished during that time and I will continue to help in any way I can. His fingerprints are all over some of the biggest decisions behind the scenes in WWF and WWE.
Yeah, like it's been he's a major name backstage, someone that obviously people don't immediately know the name of, but as you said, has influenced many things. For example, the litigation with the USA Network, trying to host for Raw, both the XFL setups and the big WWF one with the World Wildlife Fund.
There was that as well, yeah, so he was part of all of that. But we go even further back because in 1994, he initially represented Hulk Hogan in the first investigation in the steroid trial, the trial of Vince McMahon's life, as he always calls it. And he actually moved to represent Vince McMahon and the WWF when it became a civil, when they faced criminal charges over it. He actually moved over to that side. And it's then that this friendship and this partnership was cemented between Vince McMahon, the McMahon family, and Jerry McDevitt. And away from all the court stuff, McDevitt and his firm handles a lot of Vince McMahon's business. It includes his estate plans, they do his tax returns. Any financial dealings with McMahon tends to cross Jerry McDevitt's desk. He is very much a key player. And this is one of those things where if you don't find the right person to slot into the place of Jerry McDevitt, there's a lot of court cases that might not necessarily go the way of WWE.
It's a weird prospect, yeah, because it's if there's any legal issues come up in the future, it's going to be their first in 36 years without him, and it could go a different way. You need someone at legal counsel that is top quality when it comes to a big business like that, and it will make waves for WWE, especially during an ongoing lawsuit with MLW. It'll be interesting to see how that fares now that he's leaving it, and we'll have someone new coming in. But moving away from that one just now, we've got someone banned from TikTok because we mentioned it in the first video. There's no social media stuff. Threads, Cultaholic Wrestling. But we're also on TikTok, Cultaholic Wrestling. But someone who isn't on TikTok anymore is Roman Reigns.
It's been a bad week for the Tribal Chief.
Oh, it has been a terrible week for the Tribal Chief. Obviously, he suffered his first pinfall loss since 2019 at Money in the Bank, losing the main event, Jey Uso. But TikTok's also beat him. He's been...
That's 2 losses in a week.
It's 2 losses in a week. We don't know why his account's been banned, but it has been banned. It could be down to TikTok's strict policy over violence. We know that in the past there's been certain wrestling accounts that have been taken down because when you put a video up that's wrestling related, it will show a little warning. It'll be like, the content in this video is done by professionals. You shouldn't try this at home. It could be that something's been put up on there that TikTok has gone, no escape, and they've taken his account down. Obviously, the TikTok stuff is also all very automated, so that there's not really an appeal system, and if there is, it takes a very long time to get through to a human. But yeah, Roman Reigns, What a terrible week for him.
I hope he'll address it on Friday Night SmackDown.
On the trial of the tribal chief.
Yes, I think they should address that.
Maybe that's the trial starting. They've gone. He's no longer the trial.
The bosses of TikTok,
who
famously are Malcolm Tick and Stephen Tuck.
Yeah.
Come on in, lads.
They're just big Jey Uso fans. They've gone away, loser. They've turned their backs, and maybe next month we'll see Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus TikTok.
Malcolm Tick and Stephen Tuck.
Stephen Tuck in a bloodline.
We the ones that make short videos.
Exactly. That's the plan moving forward. But
have we plugged Threads yet?
You should be following it if you know. We've mentioned it once.
Yeah.
Threads, Cultaholic Wrestling. But going over AEW just now, Fightful Select reporting that Diamante's AEW deal has been bumped up from a Tier 0 deal while she's been on to a full-time contract. She was recently added to AEW's official roster page as well. She's been performing on the Ring of Honor brand since April and has been fairly successful, I would say.
She's been around for about 3 years now. She popped up back in January 2020 on an episode of Dark, and there's been a lot of back and forth with Diamante. I hope now we decide that this is something where they full-on commit to. If they've signed her up to a full-time deal, they've obviously got some big plans going forward for Diamante.
Yeah, I think it's also trying to add more depth to the roster because, it's crazy that we've gone from going, AEW is very bloated. They've got so many people, and now it's
so many people.
There's too many. Stop signing people, Tony. Now we've got a few shows. We've got Ring of Honor if you want to make them adjacent to the whole situation. You've got Collision, you've got Dynamite, you've got Rampage. You need roster depth. And if what we were talking about in the first video with Malachi Black and people being like, you should only have certain people in certain shows and have a split, you kind of need that depth to be able to provide a sort of split and be like, you're only going to see them on this roster this week. You're only going to see them on this show this week. Adding certain talents and going, right, you're full time, shows that they are looking at that depth and going, how do we maximize where people need to be each week? And maybe there will be big plans for her in the future. We've got to wait and see on that one, but
there are currently, before you go any further, there are currently obviously Tony Khan's writing two very different women's divisions for AEW and for Ring of Honor.
Of course.
There is a distinct difference between the two.
Yes, there's a different feel to them, like Collision and Dynamite. It's been good to see.
But don't take our word for it. Take the word of Mercedes Martinez, who was my guest on Desert Island Graps yesterday. You can listen to Mercedes chatting all about the fundamental differences between the AEW and the ROH women's divisions, and talks about her trip to the UK next week for North Wrestling Thunderstruck. She's facing Rio in the Walker Dome. Biggest North Wrestling show ever. NorthWrestling.co.uk. Buy tickets. He'll be there and I'll be there, and if you're not there, I'll find you.
You will be there. You will be there.
NorthWrestling.co.uk. Scotty Too Hot is going to be there. Gangrel is going to be there.
It's
Joey
massive.
Janela's going to be there.
It's massive. And if you're not there, he will take your blood and guts. And speaking of blood and guts, we've got a little update on AEW Blood and Guts because Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston are both ruled out of the match on July 19th. Bryan because he's injured and Eddie because he's in Japan. They've got the G1 Climax coming up. However, it will be 5-on-5 match regardless, because we've got Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, and Takeshita as one team, and they will take on Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Adam Page, with each team announcing an additional member in the coming weeks. I'm very excited for Blood and Guts. It was one of my favorite matches of the past 2 years. We like a War Games match. This is gonna be chaos. But Chris Jericho could possibly be the fifth man on Team Blackpool Combat Club, as he was offered a place by Don Callis in his family. Something that Jericho didn't say no to. He said maybe, and it kind of upset some of the Jericho Appreciation Society, which, as a faction, I think needs to go the way of the dodo.
I think it probably does
It's been around a little bit too long, and it's only been over a year.
Beginning to stink.
It is. I'm not a fan of it currently, but putting Jericho in the Blackpool Combat Club is a very strange direction to take him. But hey, it may introduce us to the next wave of Jericho memes and fun, and I'm all for it. But Blood and Guts coming up July 19th. I'm very, very excited for what it could be, what it will be. It's a shame Danielson and Kingston aren't going to be there, because Eddie getting in there with Claudio in a steel cage.
That'll just have to be another story for another time, mon ami.
Right, give us that. Give us that All In London. in Wembley. It's good. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, what was that there? That was a good sound. But that is all we've got for you today. We might be back later if there's more news. Who knows? I don't know. We'll find out in a bit. But go and follow us on Threads. Go and follow us on Twitter. All the social medias. We're going to try and post a lot of content. We've got a lot of content. Anything you want to plug apart from your Desert Island?
Did we mention Threads?
Threads. Go and follow us. Cultaholic Wrestling. We're going to have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. See you later.